All right, and welcome back. Today we're talking about the window of tolerance. Now, this is where we stay calm, cool, and collected, regulated, totally good, inner Zen state, able to connect to the present moment, and all is well within the world. All right, this is our window. We call this the window of tolerance. It is originally attributed to Dan Siegel in 2012. So if you're interested in reading more about that, you can look up Dan Siegel. It's quite well known. Now, when we're in the window, we feel grounded, we feel flexible, open and curious, present, and we're able to self-regulate. Okay, this is where we want to be. This is where, if we're in a healthy, good state of being, this is where we remain. Now, if we are not having a good season of life, if we're having a hard time, if we're in a trauma trigger, if we're constantly staying in some sort of trauma response, then we're going to be out of our window of tolerance. This is where we go out, okay? So at some points in our life, we might have narrow windows, we might have wide windows. We want to widen our window and we want to keep our window wide so that we can stay regulated more often than not. Of course, there's going to be times where we get up here or down here and we get triggered, but we want to widen our window. That's the goal. Okay, so let's look at what it is to be outside of that window. Now, if you're going up into hyperarousal, hyperarousal is that fight or that flight response. All right, so you're up here in the fight or flight response. Now, this looks like high energy, anxiety, anger, overwhelm, hypervigilance, and you may manifest as chaotic. Okay, you might have a lot of chaos in your head, in your body, around you. Your life might be quite chaotic. So if in hyperarousal, that's where you're living. You're living up here in that response, up here, and you're going to go here if you're triggered in that way. Now, if you are triggered and you're going into a hypoarousal, hypoarousal is that freeze or fawn response. Now you're living in that freeze or fawn response, okay? You're going to be shut down, numb, withdrawn. Perhaps you might have depression or have depressive symptoms. You might seem passive or be passive and not taking control of your own life. And you might have an overwhelming feeling of shame. And you might be down here in hypoarousal. You can be dissociated, okay, completely numb to the world. You're not living in the present moment. You're living in a numb state and not actually being able to connect with and have joy in that present moment. All right. Now, many of us have, you're going to naturally be inclined to go up or down. Okay, you're not usually going to go into your day and be like, now I have hyperarousal and I'm angry and I'm overwhelmed, and then I'm going to go down here and I'm depressed and passive. You might be living like that. And if you are, that's a really hard place to be. And I highly recommend you seek some help and you continue learning and you grow and you go into inner child deep work and you get healing and peace for your soul, okay? But most of us are going to be in the state where we're going into hyperarousal or we go into hypoarousal. We're going to be inclined to go either up or to go down. So for me, personally, I would say I used to live in more of a hypoarousal way. I used to be living here. I would say when you have your window here, if you have a narrow window, if your window is narrow, you might be living constantly here, and then go up a little bit, and then be going down here, up a little bit, and then be going down here. You might be living primarily in one of these zones, not in that regulated zone. All right. So I used to primarily be living here. I used to be depressed, withdrawn, very numb to the world, living in shame, just kind of going with the flow. I was just like, cool, I'm just going to go with the flow. Whatever happens to me, blah, 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 shmee, shmee, as I grew up saying, whatever. Basically, just whatever. Whatevs. I was very, very not in control of my own life. I would just go with the flow, and I always remained in that victim mentality. When you're living in a victim mentality, you let life happen to you. You're not creating your life. And so, what we want to be doing is consciously creating our desired reality. We want to be manifesting exactly what we want by healing our trauma, taking control of our life, and moving forward in a healthy manner. Okay. So, before I lived down in here, now, currently, I would say I'm mostly up here, grounded, flexible, open, curious. However, I would say that I do have a tendency to live up here and in that overwhelm. It can be a state of busyness as well. I bring on a lot of busyness for myself. I have a lot of personal drive. When you have that need for perfectionism and things like that, if you want more, if you want to have a deeper look at the fight or flight response and how that manifests, or the freeze fawn response, I have a whole other video on that as well. But I'm living in a state of busyness. I want to do so much. I put so much on my plate. And so oftentimes I can't actually just enjoy the present moment. To be honest, sometimes my kids are like, Mom, let's just sit and watch TV. And I'm like, oh, but I've got to do this. And I've got to do that. And I should be doing this. I should be being busy. I should be getting more done. And I'm not able to just relax, be calm, and say, cool, I can just chill on the couch and watch TV. I'm not actually living in the present. I'm not actually enjoying that time if I'm constantly in that busy, overwhelmed state. Now, my husband calls me out on this, bless him. He's really good at that. He's saying, okay, you're not actually being present with us right now. You need to be present. You need to figure out what you're doing with whatever it is. I'm taking on work. I want to write more. I want to do more. I want to make more videos, blah, 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 blah. I always want to do more. But my husband will call me out and say, you need to be present. You need to think about us, which is him and the kids, and you need to be more present. And I'm like, okay, fair enough. So hopefully you have somebody in your life, a friend, a family member, a partner who can help you and notice it and be honest with them. There's no point being dishonest. We have to be honest with ourselves and honest with each other of what we're actually going through. So I'm honest with people. I'm very open with people, as you know. I'm open with the public. I'm open in my books. I'm open in, my PhD. I'm open with my friends, with my students. I'm open. I'm an open book because I just don't feel the need anymore to live in that shame. I don't feel the need to live in shame anymore. Okay. However, I swung from this to going into overwhelm, busyness, chaotic busyness. And I don't want to do that either. What I really want to do in my life is stay here, remain grounded and present. So I do a lot of yoga, body balance, Pilates, and I'm doing more of that, going for mindful walks. I do my journaling. I know, though, that I have to schedule in that time because my natural inclination is to wake up and be busy, busy, busy. I've got to do this, I've got to do that. And then I start a project and I start another project. Welcome to ADHD life, right? Yeah. So I have to consciously say, okay, just schedule in my time of calm, cool, and collected. I have my coffee in the morning. I do my journaling. I do my yoga. I do my stuff. I go to my classes. I have those scheduled times so that I'm taking care of myself so I can be more in this state and less up here. I still go up here. I still like to keep myself busy. Still like to live in that anxiety, busyness, overwhelm, but I don't want to do that, okay? When you are from a trauma background, it can be comfortable to be up here or down here, but we don't want to do that. We want to live here. We want to live calm, cool, and collected Zen lives. That's what we want, right? We want to heal our trauma, move it out of our bodies, and consciously create our desired reality. That's what we want, all right? So over time, you go up and down throughout your day. Hopefully you're just going up and down the window. You're getting up here, you're saying, oh, no, 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 I'm going to pull back here. You go up here, oh, no, no, I'm going to pull back here. But you need to be able to be aware of when you're going up here or when you're going down there, and really focus on coming back to a present, grounded state. Regulate yourself, understand your emotion, and then you can reason your way into staying here. So that's all I have for you today. If you have any comments or questions, anything you want to know more about, please leave it below and I will make another video to address it at another time. Thank you.